Yeah, I already introduced today's topic, everything around ChatGPT and actually more generative AI, but what's more important, how to use this at scale in your projects. At scale, let's say in production, in the real world projects, not just as a toy, but something real. About myself, I stream directly from Oslo, Norway. It's amazing sunny day today, and in general we have amazing summer. And yeah, sometimes we have summers during the year, but this one is just exceptional. And I work in Microsoft. My internal job title is very long, but in the big picture, I help developers to succeed with our cloud and AI technologies. Uh, I'm very technical myself. I build something for the web since late 90s of the last century. And I'm big fan of developer communities like this one and many other around the world. And I organize myself few meetups and even a couple of conferences. Yeah, you'll often find me speaking about web, cloud, and all cool technical stuff on the stage, on virtual or real of the conferences and meetups worldwide. Um, yeah, a bit marketing-ish slide, but just to confirm that you're in the right place. You invest your time, because if you work in IT, especially if you work in the development, if you are not building something with artificial intelligence yet, that is strange, then you will start doing this very soon, because yeah, companies are very strongly focused on infusing AI into their projects, solutions, and yeah, everyday life, I'd say. And how did we end up in this, let's say, summer of AI, or very beginning of summer of AI era? Of course, AI in general, this is absolutely not a new term. So it's from 50s of last century. We have this term existing. Next, say, big jump happened when not algorithmic AI, but machine learning AI idea came to some smart people on our planet. And of course, after development of machine learning, we end up in deep learning, and deep is nothing but just a very large number, or relatively large number of layers in between input layer and output layer, and of course, it brings extra power to hold an idea. And 2021 generative AI term appeared. That is actually, let's say, a deep learning idea at scale, I'd say. The foundations, like the theoretical part, is still the same, but with the enormous computational power companies have these days, we ended up with creating these large language models. And of course, not on this slide, but you all know that November 2022, ChatGPT was released as a, let's say, publicly available portal to this exciting world of generative AI. And of course, we in Microsoft are on the cutting edge of all these great happenings, and thanks to investments investments of money and human resources and computational resources, we made quite a few AI breakthroughs in Microsoft related to achieving human parity. It's when some let's say algorithm or machine or robot can do something better than us humans. And you see this list is quite extensive. We can say that now robots are better than us humans in image captioning, in understanding language, in answering questions. Maybe I don't know, maybe the next breakthrough could be something that machines are better in arts than us, and generative AI, of course, is contributing to that direction. Yeah, so Microsoft is absolutely not a new player in artificial intelligence area, and we actually have tons of different services around that. So not one service, not a group of services, but whole families of services structured into multiple levels or layers, depending on where you want to exactly start your AI journey, either from very beginning, from scratch. If you have a team of data scientists and data engineers in your company, then and you really want to create your own models from scratch, not just create, but also train and deploy and get help from cloud provider, you can start from the very bottom of on this slide, Azure Machine Learning Service. And then if you are good with just using ready-to-go models that we pre-trained for you, you can go either for cognitive services or even like higher level task-based models, applied services. Yeah, and of course, we actively inject AI possibilities into our own projects. But today's session is about one very specific part of all this picture, Azure OpenAI service. Of course, this is the most popular in terms of articles, blog posts, everything. So we can read something new on the topic every single day, multiple times a day. And yeah, if we can sum up all these headlines, maybe the first one on the top left-hand side is the best one. It's just massive disruption in pretty much all areas of our life. How companies work, how governments operate, how countries live, yeah, pretty much everywhere. And of course, we are here to make this disruption in a positive way, not vice versa. Yeah, to start deeper dive into OpenAI topic, let's be clear with terminology or taxonomy, if you wish, because so there is OpenAI, there is Microsoft, there is ChatGPT, there is Azure OpenAI service. So what is what and who is who and how is that all interconnected? The clarity here is just very important for before you like take any technical decision, like which platform to choose and which direction to move. So that's pretty simple. OpenAI is a separate company. If I remember correctly, they were founded in 2015. Sam Altman is one of the founders, and still he is like the main person there. Sam Altman is an iconic person in startups world. Actually, he's ex-CEO of Y Combinator. This the most famous startup incubator in the world. So he understands something about how to successfully build a startup. And fun fact that Elon Musk was among early founders of OpenAI, but he left just because of potential conflict of interest, because they started to develop their own AI in Tesla. So yeah, the best decision for him was to leave OpenAI. When and why and how Microsoft appeared in this picture? Well, so Microsoft is one of the early investors in the whole idea. And yeah, by the way, a few words about idea. That's quite simple to formulate, but extremely challenging to achieve. And in my own words, the idea is to democratize power of let's say large language models, or like let's say generative AI in general, for pretty much everyone. So build something that is not possible to build for like regular companies just because of scale, but provide access via simple to use API endpoints. So this is idea, but I already mentioned that to achieve this idea you need tremendous computational power, because like theoretical foundation is in place, it's deep learning, but the question is about how many resources you can gather for training, how many like computational hours and this teraflops, gigaflops, I don't know what else flops flops you need to actually run this training. So this is where Microsoft helped. And in 2019, we invested $1 billion, if I understand correctly, mainly in form of computational power. And you know that in Microsoft we have quite a few data centers, and so we have some computers to help with this. Even with number of data centers and servers and everything we have, it was not easy task. I mean, for that kind of task, you cannot use just, let's say, out of the box hardware. So our smart engineers did great job on chaining these tens of thousands of NVIDIA chips into super fast, super performant infrastructure that is actually able to ingest this enormous number of resources, texts, everything, and to do some magic with this. So long story short, after this fruitful collaboration, bunch of artifacts were created, and basically I'd say that OpenAI achieved their ambitious goal. They created family of large language models for different tasks, and the names are all well known. Some models are for texts in general, some models are perfect in human-like conversations generation. Codex is for writing and understanding code, like programming language code, and DALL-E is for the image. But in the big picture, these are all specialized branches of GPT. So in the beginning, it all starts with text. And just to illustrate different outcomes, so GPT 3.5, 4, and I don't know, all the next versions of GPT is just about working with text generation, summarization. We'll have a separate slide on possibilities. While ChatGPT, it's very similar, right? But it's specifically optimized for holding conversations, so perfect for chatbots. Codex, I hope that you all tried this by just using GitHub Copilot. This is where Codex is built in as a foundation. It's just perfect. I use personally GitHub Copilot every single day while I build my hobby projects. And DALL-E, yeah, it's one of existing services or models that generate pictures based on your text description. And the competitors are Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and I assume that many more models like this will appear in the market. Yeah, so these artifacts are in place, and you can use them by just going to openai.com, create an account, paying some dollars, and start just triggering these API endpoints. But you remember that today's session is about using this at scale, right? And my recommendation, openai.com itself, I forgot to mention that thanks to this agreement and early investment, Microsoft now has exclusive permission for using these models, these artifacts, in commercialized services. So basically, there are two and only two options for you to start using this, either via OpenAI company directly or via corresponding respective service we created in Microsoft, of course, part of Azure family. Yeah, and I recommend you to use OpenAI directly for experimentation, for some research projects. But when time comes to deploy something for thousands, tens of thousands, millions of the users, have a look at Azure, because this is where you can get a scale plus other perks. First of all, if you already have your projects in projects in Azure, this will be just one more natural addition to a family of workloads on Azure. So easy to govern, manage, and everything. All the models that were created by OpenAI are available. I mean, they do not appear immediately. Some of them are in preview stage, but sooner or later, everything what's in OpenAI will land in this or that form on Azure. All say ready to go, production ready possibilities for you to fine tune models if needed. Maybe we'll have special discussion on that. And what's super important, like Azure is famous for its security and flexibility in role-based access, so it all remains the same, like for any other Azure workloads. And last but not least, we have you covered by responsible AI framework. It definitely deserves a separate slide because I'm pretty sure that you all have seen some articles or blog posts or tweets, like people try to kind of hack this ChatGPT by converting this to like into evil mode or some harmful responses. Of course, this is kind of never-ending game, right? So there are like developers introduce new and new railguards and like hackers or prompt hackers, so I don't know if this term ever exists so far. They create new and new ways to somehow bypass this. It's like in any other part of software, right? Like there are always hackers that do something. Anyway, in Microsoft we have best on market, and yeah, that's I'm pretty much sure that I can use word the best here to protect you. Again, that is extremely important if you operate like on behalf of the company, right? You don't want to lose your company reputation just because of some strange, let's call it like this, responses from your chatbot. Yeah, and of course, like personally, you don't want to get any harmful responses from let's call it robots, right? We take this topic very seriously. So we have what we call a Microsoft Responsible AI Framework that contains principles, guidelines, and of course tools and services around that. It definitely deserves its own session. So to save some time, I will just redirect you to respective sections on our documentation, so you'll read and understand much more on that topic. Let's talk about what's possible. As I mentioned in the very beginning of our session, you can easily get lost in the world or universe of possibilities, right? So you definitely tried ChatGPT, but yeah, what are potential business use cases, and where is the money in all this workflow? Well, to help you to understand where you can apply this or that capability of generative AI and like GPT model in particular, we grouped everything in 4 large buckets. First of all, it's all about generation of something, of content, of texts, images, code. Maybe this is the lowest hanging fruit and the most obvious application of GPT and generative AI in general. So, for example, you can easily generate automatic response to your customers just based on their input. Next group is all about summarization. And also we can add here all kinds of categorizations, classifications, just feed any amount of, not any, but let's say a large amount of unstructured raw text, and ask questions about this. Ask for short summary, ask what's this text about. Yeah, it will, and you will get nice and real result with very few potential for some hallucinations. Then, yeah, code generation, and the best example here is again GitHub Copilot. This is a commercial product based on this absolutely same idea, and it uses Codex model under the hood. Last but not least, semantic search, and here we talk about the possibilities to have really advanced search engines, not just by keywords, but kind of trying to understand intentions, even if like people who search are using, let's say, human-like conversation, and I'll have a special example on that topic. If we look at this from a different angle and check regular life of a regular company, like from mid to large size, there are a few departments that are almost must have for companies like that: finance, IT, HR, marketing. And yeah, I'm not going to read all this contents of this busy slide, but you got the idea. So you can optimize and simplify life of your colleagues on pretty much every stage of work of these departments. And this is just examples. We have way more detailed slides per industry, let me move to some concrete examples, and yeah, maybe this will be the most marketing-ish part of my presentation, but still a good idea for you to learn about some real companies are using these cool features in production. CarMax is a huge used cars dealer in US, maybe not that well known in Europe, and they use summarization part of all the story to create summaries of what people write about their cars and what they say. They would need 11 years to create a number of summaries. They created in just a few months using generative AI tools. Strabag, company from Austria. It's manufacture and construction, and I want to emphasize that they use Azure OpenAI services for quite mission critical, let's say, decision making. It's a risk-based management that try to predict will this construction fail or not, depending on lots of factors. Of course, it's quite complex to give this prediction, right? And what's closer to technical audience, personally, what resonates well with myself, Trellant, they use generative AI tools to provide intelligent source code documentation. I'm personally not a big fan of creating documentation for my own code, speaking for myself, of course, and that's really cool to have some support here. And yeah, of course, in Microsoft, we actively use generative AI in our own products. I already mentioned multiple times this amazing service called GitHub Copilot. Yeah, and I hope that soon we all will hear many more announcements about accelerating developer experience, about simplifying development life. So yeah, it started like just let's say suggestions, very smart and very performant suggestions of the code samples, but it's just the beginning of the story. So maybe you all heard about about Copilot-X that will cover many more areas of our regular developer life. And another not that well-known product from Microsoft. Let me check if it can. Yeah, it's animated. Either GIF or video. Yeah, Microsoft Designer. It's now available for everyone after some period of time to be kind of preview. And yeah, it will help designers or anyone who wants to create something graphical to easily start with. First of all, you can generate some images on the fly from your text, and then you just use some layouts suggested by this service. You change some text, and you have, for example, ready to go birthday card or any kind of invitation. Just try it. It's impressive what you can achieve in just a few seconds, I'd say. Okay, now I hope that I inspired you by some features, by some possible applications and capabilities and possibilities of OpenAI and Azure OpenAI in particular. How to start? How can you start using these features right here, right now? Some steps. First of all, secret step, and this will be on my last slide of the presentation, so stay tuned. Don't jump off from this call. Then you request access for this Azure OpenAI service. And this is actually, I mean, you cannot just say, okay, just take my money. I want to start using these APIs immediately on Azure. And this is intentional protection of pretty much everyone. So this is one of our commitments for responsible AI. So at this stage, or at least at this stage, we want to make sure that yeah, you have some understanding why are you going to use this and what are you going to use this for. So it's just simple form where you provide some details about your company and about your subscription. It will take just 1 minute for you to fill it out. And yeah, after you onboarded, and onboarding happens quite fast these days, so yeah, you will receive confirmation email and you can start sending your requests to one of available APIs. In that sense, completions API maybe is the main, let's say, resource you will reach out to. We have also chat completions API. And it's always about experimentation. I mean, 100% your first prompt will be not production ready, so you will add something, remove something, change some wording, and yeah, we'll specifically talk on that topic. And then you might want, and in enterprise applications, 99% you will need to use your own data. I mean, you don't want to always rely on, let's say, out-of-the-box ChatGPT model based on information it's gathered from internet a couple of years ago. No, you want to involve your own data in the loop, and there are multiple options are available. And yeah, you build your product and share with outer world how amazing this technology and your product are. To give you some like technical 101, if we talk about sending prompts to these API endpoints, it all starts with some terms. First of all, prompt itself, and it contains multiple parts, or might contain multiple parts. First of all, instruction itself, what you want to achieve. It can be very explicit or very implicit in form of just kind of template. Also, it's really good idea to provide context, and let's say the clearer your prompt, the better result you will get. Also, you can provide some extra data, actually, what data to use for this answer, and it could be few sentences, or it could be some texts from, for example, your document pasted, of course, within token limit that every API has. And it can even contain some instructions about output. So by default, this will be just textual output, but you in human language can explain that you want to actually get JSON with that kind of format. If you wish, you can specifically add well-formatted JSON. I don't know, will it really improve output or not? Something for you to experiment with. Yeah, sooner or later you'll get completion, and technically you can actually use this either as how to call this simple API call. You send request and wait for some time for response, or you can stream it if you wish to achieve experience, for example, like on chat.openai.com, when letters appear one by one. Yeah, if let's say your target programming language supports this, it's of course perfectly fine, for example, for JavaScript. And also important concept here is token, and it's important because you actually will pay depending on number of tokens you send and receive. So this is also important to understand, that the pricing model is quite unique, I'd say, where you pay not for number of API calls or length of the output, but basically you pay both for input and output. And of course, it makes art of prompting even more important, right? Like the shorter prompts you have, the less money you will pay. And the and token itself, this is also like I mean, it's not a new concept. It's well known in language models area, and we can approximately, and this is not a character, this is not a word. If we this is how actually a language model understands your input. So it splits words into tokens, and very approximately we can say that if we reason about English language, it's around 4 characters. Yeah, and also there are multiple ways for you to communicate with if you want to achieve like chat-like experience. All classic GPT-X models is just request in, response out. It's just always kind of one shot. Then if you want to build chat-like experience, this is conversation in, message out. So just keep in mind that model itself is stateless. It doesn't keep any context of previous message somewhere in its own storage. No, you have to send all the context every single time to get every next response. And of course, yeah, it makes us think about quite a few topics, right? How to not bypass the limit of tokens that this particular API endpoint can accept. So, and of course, some smart decisions needed here. And yeah, also it definitely involves discussion about pricing, right? So maybe the longer chat became, the more money you pay, just because your initial prompt, not initial, but yeah, just your next prompt is longer and longer. Yeah, and actually this is how all ChatGPT based applications work. You can talking specifically about ChatGPT experience. As a very first message, you can provide something called system message or meta prompt, just two different terms for the same thing, where you explain all let's say a context around further discussion. You can set some boundaries here. You can set tone. Yeah, any general information you have, provide there, and then you start conversation by sending your first prompt on behalf of the user. And again, back to format of conversation in, message out. It's not something that like once you provided this system message, it's somewhere in the memory. No, you have to send it every single time with your whole dialogue. And a couple of examples how this system message could look like, and how it affects all the next conversation. So you can organize something like enterprise knowledge bot, where you explain, like, if you don't know, answer based on information you got in this or that prompt. You just answer, I don't know. Don't be too creative. Another idea is where creativity is appreciated is marketing assistant. So it's all about creating new content. But of course, here you see still some boundaries are set, and even though it's all by default protected by responsible AI framework, and you don't have to do any extra movements to get this protection, still it's like re-emphasizes importance of not being harmful. Closer to like architectures of the application, and here we go back to enterprise chat-like application. So how do we exactly inject the data from our own company? Otherwise, you know, if we create enterprise ChatGPT and explicitly say that don't use any information you found on internet, it's just prohibited, and it makes sense, right? It's our enterprise ChatGPT. This chat bot will always answer, I don't know, because we didn't supply any kind of information. So there are two main directions how to fix this. First of all, you can fine-tune your model, but it's a bit complex task, and it will cost some extra money, because to host your customized model, you pay actually per hour or minute. I mean, you pay for time this model is online and is available. It's definitely a way to go for some scenarios, but there is, if not if not simpler, but at least simpler to start with option, and it's all about prompt engineering. So just imagine that we have application UI, chat-like, or just a chat, and our backend works as orchestrator, and we have access to our company's knowledge base in any form, right? I mean, it could be SQL database, it could be Azure Cognitive Search is the simplest option. And we have a set of APIs from Azure OpenAl family. And then we do the following. So, and you know what, folks, I will better demonstrate it after I finish this slide deck, because first of all, we have a demo on behalf of Microsoft, but I created a simpler demo of the same story, and please feel free to start using this, exploring this. It's open source. You'll find link in the footer of the page. It's written in JavaScript. Front end is React and Next.js. Backend is Node.js based Azure functions. So I mean, you will easily understand what's going on there, and maybe we'll have a few minutes for me to demonstrate how that works. And here we comes to the questions. What if my prompts what if my requests to these APIs do not work as I want them to work, as they do not provide results I want to see? Well, there are multiple options for you to check out, multiple ideas for you to fix this prompt, and here we comes to the term of prompt engineering. And my own belief is that prompt engineering will become if not a separate job title, separate profession for some of you, but this will be a needed skill for quite a few of developers who work with AI-infused products. And say art or science or art and science of prompt engineering could be or will be, this is my own belief, a very crucial role in all the development. It's, let's say, its own discipline with its own best practices, methodologies, communities, learning resources. Many cool resources are available for you. To illustrate just one of the methodologies called chain of thought. And it looks like magic, but if you just provide one extra sentence in your prompt, in this example, it's let's think step by step and explain calculation step by step, you can get correct result, but without this simple statement, for some of the tasks, you can get some weird or, let's be clear, incorrect results. Again, maybe large language models are not the best ones for doing these kind of tasks with some like calculations, but still it might be relevant for quite a few scenarios of its usage. And just having this super powerful and at the same time super simple technique can make a difference. If you want to learn more about prompt engineering and dive into this universe, I kindly invite you all to join conference I organized in October, and this will be world's first conference on prompt engineering. I organized this on my own behalf, so this is not Microsoft project. This is purely community driven. It's free online. You can get your free ticket right here, right now. And of course, call for papers is open. So if you want to say something to AI community about your own experience with prompting and prompt engineering, maybe your successes or your failures, you are super welcome to do this. Just submit your session. Next question that is very often arises in conversation about Azure OpenAI and OpenAI in general is where is my data going? I mean, where is the boundary, and who can see the data I send, for example, for fine-tuning model? Who can see my prompts, who can see my responses. Yeah, I'm definitely going to save some time by not going through all this complex diagram. I can only say that this information is in detail described in privacy section of Azure OpenAI documentation. In a few words, your data is your own data, and you know that in Azure it's all secured, it's all encrypted, and of course it stays within your customer your own account. I mean, no other companies, no other persons can access it, and the data you use for fine-tuning models is exclusively yours, so it's for your eyes only. At the same time, so we have this responsible AI framework, and as a part of this framework, we have a special protection mechanism that acts asynchronously. I mean, we have synchronous part. You will not get. You'll get some message about your prompt is potentially harmful, or response was potentially harmful, so you protected this from this in real time. At the same time, if this prompt or response from our side to your prompt triggered one of our, let's say, rules about breakage of responsible AI principles, it might be accessed and checked by authorized Microsoft employee just to check what's going on, how we can further improve the synchronous part of all this story. And yeah, data retention policy and the geo boundary for this is also very clearly explained on the same page. Furthermore, you can opt out even from this experience, but it's, of course, it's strongly not recommended. It's next layer of your protection. My slide before the last secret slide, right? You remember that we have last slide with a secret, how to start, is extremely busy, and it's just here to confirm that we have all resources for you to start your learning journey, using journey, deploying journey, succeeding journey after all. And I hope that Jake and John will find a way to share PDF with this slide deck with all of you, so you'll have all resources available. Now, last but not least, before we run into a couple of demos, if we have a few extra minutes, this secret slide. Folks, find me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's start chatting about this, and feel free to use me as a reference from Microsoft for your OpenAI application right after we are connected on LinkedIn. Yes. That's all for slides. Let me close this deck, and yeah, let's have 5 minutes demo. I'll show you how that works. Okie doke, and slideshow, and this is something I have for you. Increase the size. Yeah, right after you are approved for using Azure OpenAI service, you can create corresponding resource, and there is a link from this resource to access Azure AI Studio. Azure AI Studio, this is where you deploy different models, where you provide data to these models, and also this is a sandbox. This is a playground for you to beta test everything before ever building code with your API request. And yeah, it has quite a few nice predefined examples. So let's pick, for example, this one. And if my session is still alive, it will generate something for us. Yeah, so as I mentioned, the lowest hanging fruit is generating something. And here we use what's called few shot example. So we provided some examples, and based on this, OpenAI generated some extra options, but yeah, it can also work with zero shot. I mean, let's experiment. Maybe the results will be, let's say, less predictable for yourself if you have some initial options in mind, but still it will work. And this is again art of prompt engineering, and find the balance between prompt let's say correctness, prompt efficiency, and prompt length. You remember that you pay for tokens you both send and receive, and if we talk about, let's say, millions of requests, then of course every single token makes a difference. And then, yeah, what else? Generate. Yeah, we went through generation. Let's summarize something. And here is predefined example of some random article from Microsoft. Provide the summary, and in a few seconds it will give us something. And here you see in this example we use streamed approach, so we do not wait until full response was generated. We just render this word by word. Yeah, and of course, you can also ask to be either more concise or more detailed, etc., etc. Let's have a look at this example of enterprise, because yeah, these one-shot request responses are good, but if you want to build something for let's say a chat-like experience for your enterprise, of course, some extra engineering needed. And this is example of exactly what I meant. Enterprise chatbot, where I inject the data for this bot to generate answers on straight into the prompt itself. So yeah, I actually started my discussion, and yeah, to save some time, let's keep it from here. So just imagine that we are employee of some company called yeah, we don't have a company name here, but we have a name of the insurance company that covers insurances of our employees, of us, and we just want to know, and let me switch off developer mode, what's included in standard plan. We just don't want to go through all this bunch of PDFs, all these, you know, terms and conditions and everything. We just want to get simple human-like answer, and we got it from this bot. And of course, as a company, we have storage of these PDFs somewhere in our internal database, knowledge base, you name it. It could be any kind of technology. And as you can imagine, this request, if we send it as is to any even super smart knowledge base, maybe this is not will work good, right? Because it what is standard plan? What is context at all? So what are we talking about? This is why in prompt that we actually, this is a three steps flow. First of all, from this initial prompt, we try to create a ready-to-go query for our knowledge base. In this example, this is Azure Cognitive Search, and the first request to OpenAI APIs will be create search query based on this result, and this is result of the first prompt. Then we pass this search query to Azure Cognitive Services, and you see this query is pretty good for let's say keyword or index based search. We got some information, some pieces of text from our internal system. Now we want to create this human readable response, because again, we don't want to just give out all these PDFs as is, and then the resulting prompt of this query will be something like this. First of all, you remember that we have system message where we specify all the always do right clicks, all the context, and this is this is it. Assistant helps company employees, blah, blah, blah. So we have, we set context, we set boundaries, and we explicitly say, don't use any information you found on internet. Use only information that is below in form of sources. And sources, we actually paste some text snippets that were returned by Azure Cognitive Services. And yeah, based on this prompt, we got response like this, human readable one. And if we continue our discussion, okay, let me switch back to developer mode, where you can also see how tokenization is working. So you see, we want to send follow-up question. Is hearing check also included? Hearing check. We can even be non-perfect in English. We can even do some typos. It's okay. And here we see that this prompt consists of 6 tokens, and there are multiple tokenization libraries available. So you can find the one for your programming language. And we send it. And again, if my session is still alive, we'll get some answer. Yeah. We got, again, our own data-based answer. So it's not something that was found on internet. It's something that was found in our internal database just because of query to Azure Cognitive Services that was created based on this one. And of course, maybe it even better illustrates importance of this first prompt to get the query, because if you send something like hearing check included to into any of knowledge base system you have in the company, is just nonsense, right? So it's completely out of context. Why is two? What was the discussion before? But here we see that this first request to OpenAI API created some nice and ready for consumption by internal knowledge system query. So again, hearing check coverage. So based on previous discussion, it created this response. Yes, that's, and of course, feel free to play with this. You can run, it's open source. You can run something like this on your own data. Feel free to feed, I don't know, Harry Potter book instead of this insurance documents, and you can have a chat about this book. Like any kind of data is good for building your own chats. Yes, that's pretty much it from what I wanted to share with you folks. I hope I provided some clarity, some inspiration, some technical details, and now I'm very ready for the questions.
To say thank you. That was an absolutely fantastic session. Yeah, I think I've learned more in an hour on this subject than I probably have in weeks. So thank you. Well, I have got one question, and I guess this is probably a little bit subjective, but do you think, there's been a big focus in recent years on kind of FinOps, and, people and products that are good at FinOps from a cloud perspective have become valuable. Do you think the same is going to occur with prompt engineering, in the same way that you could build a particular application or a chat function, and if the prompts aren't succinct, concise, that sort of stuff, actually it would cost you a lot more to run that solution than it would if perhaps somebody that made them more concise was looking at it? That it seems like there's an opportunity there to make sort of the AI service more economical, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there are already multiple services that fully focused on storing prompts, testing prompts, experimenting with prompts. Yeah, this is nice. Whole new industry that never existed before, like say, early 2023. Yeah, this is a new industry. Not only prompt engineering itself, but tooling around this. Yes. And multiple startups are available.
Yeah. No,
that's an awesome session as well. Yeah. That's really good.
I guess just open to anybody else. If you have questions, feel free to pop them in. I think you're probably going to have about a load of extra sign-ups to the prompt engineering conference as well. So
cool. Yes, everyone is welcome
to that. Yeah, be really good.
Hi, Maxim. I have a quick question for you, Jake. Hi, Jake, John. Hope you guys are well. Very quick question. A session yesterday, similar sort of subject, obviously OpenAI and stuff. And one of the things I wasn't 100% certain on, they mentioned GPT-4, and I wasn't certain if you have to sign up for GPT-4 access separately, or that you could build your solution within. I think they mentioned France as being the only place at the moment for GPT-4. Are you able to provide any further information on that?
Yeah, so first of all, what is GPT-4 and how it's different from GPT-3.X? In some areas, this is evolution. I mean, the model is bigger, maybe not orders bigger, and actually we do not disclose information about how big is GPT-4 in terms of input parameters. It's definitely more steerable. It better reacts on your, let's say, guidelines and instructions you said before. And it's revolutionary in terms of it's multimodal. It can accept not only text but image, and like you actually mix these two together, and yeah, it opens doors to completely new scenarios, just mind-blowing ones.
Right.
At the same time, this multimodal feature is not available pretty much anywhere, so we only mentioned about this. I'm not sure that it's even available on OpenAI.com itself. How to get access to GPT-4? First of all, you have to get access to GPT like in general. So
Sure.
Just make sure that you onboard it there, and there is a separate request form, just one more request form you have to sign up for.
Right.
I mean, okay. Unfortunately, there are some extra steps. If I understand correctly, it's based on computational constraints. So the request amount for GPT-4 is huge, and okay. I believe we urgently upgrade all possible hardware to onboard everyone who wants this.
Sure. No, I can imagine. But as Jake mentioned, you're probably inundated with requests now.
Yeah. Please do not look at this as a blocker. I mean, let's say, regular things, if we go beyond this multimodality, GPT-4 is better, but you can safely start building your project and experimentation with GPT-3.
Yep. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It looks like we have one other question as well from Saif. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yesterday's session, same session as I mentioned, that was a brilliant session as well, talking mostly about GitHub Copilot. And one of the things they mentioned there, and I think you slightly covered it in one of your slides as well, how we were using Codex, whereas in their session yesterday, they mentioned they've now switched away from Codex into GPT 3.5 Turbo for GitHub Copilot. Is this something very recent, or are we heading towards the GPT-4 for Copilot? The reason why I ask is I've been obviously trying it from a dev background, and I've been trying other things like on this call it's a bit hard to say, but Amazon Code Whisperer and so on. And I'm just trying to do some kind of a comparison where we're heading with GitHub Copilot. If we're moving away from Codex, so what's the general trend we're seeing?
Great question, and I don't know details. What's exactly under the hood of Copilot, and furthermore, it might change while I speak. But I'd say that GitHub Copilot is our flagship product related to developer experience. So, of course, I'm biased, but our competitors are not even close to existing possibilities. And what's coming, Copilot X, is just mind-blowing.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Well, I think we've covered all the questions, unless anyone has any others. Oh, I think we're all good. Yeah, so just a huge thank you. An amazing session. Thank you for presenting. We'll sort the recording out at some point. I'll have to fire up my PC, so I might choose a cooler day to do that. But just, yeah, a big thank you. We really enjoyed the session, and yeah, hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and have a great Friday and weekend.
Cheers.
Yeah, thank you for your time.